Hey everyone, you sent us some really interesting material, and today we're diving into one piece in particular. It's a transcript from Space Today on YouTube.
Yeah, this one's about a pretty provocative thought experiment. We're talking potential malignant alien civilizations.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is basically to unpack the arguments from that video. We want to explore this idea of hostile aliens in our galaxy.
Right, and look at the maybe surprising implications. We'll try to keep it accessible, not too bogged down in the super technical stuff.
It really touches on how we see ourselves too, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Not just what might be out there.
Absolutely. It reflects on humanity quite a bit.
Okay, so the mind behind this is Alberto Caballero. He's a doctoral student, University of Vigo in Spain.
And interestingly, his background isn't astrophysics, it's actually conflict studies. So he's coming at it from a different angle.
Which is maybe why it's such a novel approach.
Yeah.
But we should definitely mention up front, this is a preprint paper.
Crucial point, yeah. It hasn't gone through peer review yet. So We're looking at an idea that's still, evolving.
Definitely. But the core question he's trying to tackle is a big one.
It really is. What are the odds, basically, that humanity might run into a hostile alien civilization? One that could actually, invade Earth.
Yeah, the kind of thing you usually see in sci-fi movies.
Exactly. But he's trying to put some analytical structure around it.
So how does he even start? What's the basis for this?
Well, this is the quote of it. He uses humanity's own history, specifically our history of invasions.
Okay.
That's his only real data point, right? The assumption being maybe alien behavior could mirror our own patterns. At least potentially.
Well, it's a starting point, I guess. Grounded in what we know.
Right. He's not jumping straight to, wild guesses about alien psychology. He starts with us, which is, both a strength because we have that data.
And a massive limitation.
And a massive limitation, exactly. We'll get more into that. But it's a very Earth-centric beginning.
So how did he quantify this? The human invasion part.
He looked at a specific period, 1915 to 2022.
Okay, about a century.
Yeah. And in that time, he found that out of 195 nations, 51 had launched invasions.
51. And did he rank them or anything?
He did. And the United States came out on top with 14 invasions recorded in that period, according to his analysis.
Right. So he's creating this sort of baseline from modern human history.
Exactly. Trying to put a number on our tendency towards invasion in the modern nation-state era. Choosing 1915 probably relates to when reliable global data starts becoming more available,
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just the number of invasions, was it? He factored in something else.
That's right. He also looked at global military spending.
Oh, okay.
And again, the U.S. was way out front there, accounting for something like 38% of the global total in his data.
And he connects that spending to the probability of invading.
Yeah, he's basically trying to link the financial commitment, the military capacity, to the actual likelihood of initiating an invasion. It assumes a connection there.
Which itself is an interesting assumption. Does spending directly equal willingness to invade?
It's definitely a simplification within the model, yeah. But it's how he tried to quantify the probability.
Okay, so he crunched the numbers on invasions and spending.
Mm-hmm.
What did he get? What's the current probability of us invading someone else?
Get ready for this. 0.028%.
Wow.
That's tiny. It is tiny, but that's his calculated baseline probability for humanity right now invading another habitable planet, based purely on our current state, according to his model.
So trying to put a number on something usually just speculative.
Pretty much. A data-driven estimate, however limited the data.
But then he takes it further, right? He brings in the Kardashev scale.
He does, yeah. The scale that categorizes civilizations based on energy use. Type 1 uses all its planet's energy, Type 2 its stars, and so on.
We're not even Type 1 yet.
Not even close. So Caballero factored in, future technological growth. He estimated that once humanity becomes a Type 1 civilization,
the probability changes.
Yeah, it drops significantly, down to just 0.004%. in his estimation.
Okay, so the thinking there is that a more advanced civilization might be less aggressive, less likely to invade.
That seems to be the logic. Perhaps, if you've solved your resource problems at home, maybe interstellar conquest becomes less appealing. It implies maybe technological maturity could lead away from expansionism.
That's sort of an optimistic thread in this, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. Though it's still based on assumptions about future motivations, of course.
Okay, so we have these probabilities for humanity. 0.028% now, maybe 0.004% later. How does he get from that to the whole Milky Way?
Right, this is the next big step. He used a paper from 2012 called Mathematical SETI.
mathematical study.
Okay, and that paper, based on its own set of assumptions about life and intelligence, estimated there could be something like 15,785 civilizations in our galaxy with some similarities to us.
15,000. But that number itself must be built on a lot of ifs, right? We don't really know how common life or intelligence is.
Oh, absolutely. Huge ifs. The mathematical SETI paper is speculative, too. So Caballero is essentially taking one uncertain number, our invasion probability.
You're multiplying it by another very uncertain number, the estimated number of civilizations.
Exactly. This is where the speculation really, ramps up.
So what did that calculation initially give him? How many hostile civilizations?
His first pass suggested less than 1. The number was actually 0.22.
Less than 1, so basically none. That seems low, almost comforting maybe.
It does sound low, but that initial number assumed all these potential civilizations were like a future Type 1 humanity capable of interstellar travel.
Ah, okay, so that's not realistic for all of them.
Probably not. He then reasoned, well, what if many of these potentially hostile civilizations are more like us now? They might have the inclination, maybe, but not the interstellar capability yet.
Right, like us. We have that 0.028% probability, but we can't actually go anywhere right now.
Precisely. So when he factored in these pre-interstellar but potentially hostile civilizations,
The number went up.
it went up to 4.42.
And that's the number people might have seen, the 4 malignant civilizations.
That's the one that often gets cited, yeah. 4.42 potentially hostile civilizations in the Milky Way.
Okay, but it's crucial to understand what that 4.42 means.
Absolutely critical. It's not like there are 4 alien fleets warping towards us right now.
Right.
It represents a hypothetical number of civilizations that could be hostile if they develop the technology for interstellar travel. They might exist theoretically, but pose no current threat because of distance and technology limits.
It's a potential, not an immediate danger.
Exactly. A very important distinction.
Now, the Space Today video really emphasized the limitations here, and we need to do that too. This isn't gospel.
Not at all. There are some major caveats.
It's like the time period, right?
Yeah.
1915 to 2022.
Yeah.
That's just a snapshot of human history.
A very specific, relatively short snapshot. Would analyzing, say, the Roman Empire or empires from centuries ago change that baseline invasion probability? We don't know. It's a fair question.
And it assumes a lot about our future too, doesn't it? That we'll follow this path to becoming less aggressive Type 1s.
Yeah, that's another big assumption about how societies evolve with technology. Maybe we get more dangerous, not less.
Or maybe something completely different happens.
Right. And then there's the biggest assumption of all, I think.
Assuming aliens think like us.
Basically, yes. Assuming they have similar brain structure, similar values, empathy, all of that. That's a huge, huge leap.
Alien psychology could be, well, alien. Completely different. Our concepts of hostility or invasion might not even apply.
They might not even make sense in their context. So while it's a fascinating starting point, using ourselves as the model,
It's incredibly human-centric.
deeply human-centric, with enormous unknowns about genuinely alien motivations.
The video also made a good point about perspective, comparing this risk to others.
Yeah, that was insightful. Even using Caballero's numbers, the calculated probability of an alien attack is way, way smaller than the probability of something like a civilization-ending asteroid impact.
Right. Helps put the fear factor in context.
Mm-hmm.
There are perhaps bigger, more immediate cosmic threats to worry about.
Statistically speaking, based on what we currently know, yes.
And I liked how the video separated this kind of analytical work, even speculative work, from just, believing in UFOs or alien visitors without evidence.
Yeah, it's a different approach. Caballero is trying to develop a method, however flawed, to analyze potential data and think about detection. It's about building tools for inquiry.
Whether the final numbers hold up or not, the process of trying to quantify it is valuable.
I think so. It forces us to clearly state our assumptions and think more rigorously about these massive questions,
Which leads to more questions, of course. The Space Today video mentioned a few.
Like, what would happen if we used a much longer span of human history for the calculation? Centuries instead of just one?
Would the probability go up, down, stay the same?
Hard to say. And the even bigger one, how do fundamentally different alien values or psychologies change everything?
Could a civilization expand without what we perceive as hostility? Could their motives be totally beyond our understanding?
Entirely possible. Maybe even likely if they're truly different.
Okay, so wrapping this up. Caballero's thought experiment, as explored in the Space Today video, it's provocative.
Definitely provocative. It's a data-driven attempt using human history as its base to tackle a question usually left to science fiction.
But it comes loaded with assumptions, especially the big one about aliens being like us.
Huge assumptions. But it
Yeah.
really does make you think about that intersection between understanding ourselves, our own history, our own potential for conflict, and thinking about life out there.
It forces us to look inwards as much as outwards when considering our place in the cosmos.
Well said, yeah.
So here's a final thought for everyone listening to maybe chew on. Given all these limitations, especially relying solely on human history, what single factor do you think would most significantly change these calculations about malignant aliens?
Ooh, good question. Is it technology? Is it biology? Psychology? Values?
Something to ponder. Maybe even dig into that mathematical SETI paper if you're curious about the assumptions behind the number of civilizations. Lots to think about.